management philosophy? How do you, I mean, you have multiple businesses now. How do you manage all that? And what's your philosophy on that?
So I'm at a place in my career where most of my activities are delegated at this point. So, initially when you're an entrepreneur, you're learning all the different roles in your company, right? And you're really trying to understand it. And then as quickly as you can, when you have a level of competency that you can write it out step by step, this is how you do this process. Do that, write it out, and then find the right person to be doing that task regularly so that you do it once and you don't ever have to do it again. And so that's what I did with my company. My first hire for my real estate team was a virtual assistant. And I just one by one, every time I did a task that was not useful to me, that was behind a computer, that was not putting me in front of a new client, I recorded the task. I put in a clear outline of exactly how to do it. And then I told my admin, this is your job going forward. And he could refer to the videos, refer to the document, and he could do it himself independently of me. So I've used that model. I have a personal assistant who does most of my transaction stuff. I'm just, mostly what I do is I just show up face to face. I coach my agents, anything that they need to learn from like a teaching standpoint, I do that. And client to client facing activities. So like showing properties or negotiating or discussing offers. But otherwise I've pretty much delegated. So I only work about 20 hours a week, and still do, I'm still on the top 1% of agents in Oregon, in terms of my volume. So.
Wow,
yeah.
You and John, I think, are kindred spirits in terms
You're
of
speaking my language.
In terms of delegation and finding a way to remove yourself as the bottleneck. I think I look at Jonathan as the king of doing that and executing that. And it sounds like you and him both.
No, I'm taking notes from Melissa right now. I'm taking notes from Melissa right now. I definitely don't feel like the king anymore.
She might have you on that.
She's taking the cake. But yeah, I think a lot of people get stuck in I think it's almost like the American culture mindset of like, I need to work just to work. I need to just keep doing things because that is what I'm supposed to do. And it really takes like a conscious effort to be like, oh, I don't need to be doing this. I have really talented, capable people that are supporting their families that are able to do these things. And some of the people, I should say, most of the people I have doing the things actually do them better than I do because I'm not really that sharp. So when I delegate it, typically the people I choose to do them and I train to do them are much more talented, and I'm not very eloquent either. So they're usually able to do them much better than I. So I kind of remove myself as the bottleneck, but I also actually improve the step of that process, which I think is critical. So I love hearing you say that because I think it's important. You don't have to go out and work the 40 hours a week just because you're supposed to work the 40 hours a week. And having that realization, and then trying to set up your team to do that is such an important piece to give yourself even more freedom. And you've had even more success since you've done that, which is incredible. You have more time and you're more successful.
Yeah. And I think, so there's 2 points that I'd like to add to that. The first one is you have to examine your belief about work and about money, right? So a lot of people have the belief that in order to get money, you have to work hard. I would challenge you on that. Is that true? Because one of the great things that my dad taught me was that you work smarter, not harder. And as long as you can internalize that it does not require more work to make more money, then you can start. A lot of people just like spin their wheels, right? They just do busy work all the time, and they're not actually accomplishing anything, but it's because they have that idea in their head that I just got to work harder. It's like, actually, no, you just have to think about it through a different lens of how do I cut this work out and delegate it to other people. And so that's the first point. And the second point is you have to adjust your havingness level. Havingness level, I read about this in a book this summer, but havingness level is the amount that you believe you're worth having in life. And so if you think that you have to work 40 hours a week, or you're only able to get a week off of vacation per year, or you really should only be making about 100,000. We all have these different comfort levels in our mind of what we should have. And if you don't adjust that, as soon as you start making, $20,000 a month or $30,000 a month or whatever, you'll actually you'll self-sabotage, because in your head, you don't have that level of havingness. And so you start to do things to get in your own way. Whether it's like failing to call those clients or whatever, oversleeping or missing meetings or whatever. I certainly started doing those things when I started consistently making $20,000, $30,000 a month, a few years ago. I I started self-sabotaging. I really had to like sit down, and I did this meditation. I really saw for myself that it was this limiting belief on what I was allowed to have. And I really was just kind of navel gazing, honestly, thinking, am I a good enough leader? Am I worthy of making this kind of money? Am I going to mess it up? Am I not going to invest it? You know, I'm the first wealthy person in my family. Maybe I don't deserve this, right? And I had all these limiting beliefs. But once I realized like, this is not actually about me, this is actually about what the universe is trying to do through me to help people, clients, my agents on my team. And it really has nothing to do with me. The universe is going to reward me for those efforts, and it's going to put money in my pocket. But really, it's about the flow of energy through me to other people. And once I was able to wrap my mind around that, my havingness level just went through the roof. And I used to be scared of making $20,000 a month. And then after I adjusted that, I could make 6 figures a month. And I was like, this is fantastic. And I'm just going to invest this, and I'm going to keep letting the universe do what it's trying to do through me and not have a hesitation about it. So I think having this level is a critical point for adjustment for new entrepreneurs.
That's so powerful. I got goosebumps for real.
Yeah. Super insightful. It was
life-changing for me.
You deserve it. You deserve it. And you have to put your mind in the right
you have to believe
place
that
to get that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was awesome.
Believe it's not about you. Like, you just have to see the bigger picture, because as long as you're looking at yourself and saying, am I good enough? Am I this? Am I that? You've got the wrong mindset. If you keep looking at yourself, then you're missing the whole point of what's trying to happen right now. And as soon as you can look outward and see that this is about other people's lives, you know, if I'm going to change 50 people's lives this year by doing 50 transactions, it's about them. It's really not about me and how much money I'm making. And as soon as you start to change that mindset, that guilt and that shame and that, you know, worthiness conflict that you're having is just going to get lifted, and you're going to be like so empowered to help those people.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the cherry on top with your story, is that you referenced this earlier, the sort of the creative financing. Through you know, making the money to support yourself, you're giving other people the opportunity who didn't previously have the opportunities to own houses or to be in certain places. You're giving them the opportunity. So it's like you're almost like doing a really quality service for people. You're continuing a different type of social work, which I think is super awesome. And then just, you know, through our conversation today, it's really obvious how kind of a person, how good of your person your heart is. And that's going into your work. And now you're getting paid the dividends of that. And that's incredible to hear.
Yeah. And I'll throw on there, you know, I get that question all the time. Like, how could you transfer from social work into like this capitalist, like real estate investor and broker? And I was like, oh, you know, you're not quite seeing it the way that I'm seeing it. So I used to work, if you think about life like this conveyor belt, like society is like this conveyor belt, right? And at the top, you have people that are really performing well and they're doing just so good. And then you have people that are just falling off that conveyor belt, right? Into homelessness, into bankruptcy, into serious health conditions, right? They're falling off of that conveyor belt. And then we try to like take social workers and all those sorts of people to try to lift them back up onto the conveyor belt. And it costs so much time and resource and energy. And it's like super hard to get them back into society, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars per person when you get a homeless person back into society, right? Or just go a little bit further up on that conveyor belt and you grab that young professional and you teach them how to buy a small multifamily property. And in 5 years, when they're going through divorce or somebody gets cancer or something like that, what do they have? A property to sell. And that's how they solve that problem, right? And so really it's about financial empowerment. It's about financial IQ and just like actually seeing it through the lens of all people's lives are valuable. And like, let's stop it before they fall off the conveyor belt.